I can hear
Yes.
some. Yeah. Is that you,
Yes.
Oh,
Veronica?
okay.
Oh, I
It's
can hear.
me, Jackie. Sorry.
Oh, Jackie. Hi, Jackie.
Hi. I just wanted to make sure you guys can hear me for a roll call.
I can hear you.
Thank you. Bad connection here.
Okay, welcome. It's now 6 o'clock. This is the Neighborhood Improvement Commission for the City of Seaside. September 1st, we're calling this a special meeting. And the first thing we're gonna do is call to order. And so second is the roll call. So roll call, please.
Alex Miller,
Here.
Ray Bennett,
Here.
Ramona Aleda Reed,
Here.
Dennis Alexander,
Here.
Shonda LaBeouf, Veronica Velasco,
Here.
Benjamin Strickland.
Okay, so since we're missing two, we do have a quorum for tonight. And I just want to remind everybody to please mute yourself. And then when you want to talk, to unmute yourself and then go back to mute when you're done. So the next item on our agenda is item 3, and that is the review of the agenda. And on special meetings pursuant to Robert's rules and my conversation with the city attorney yesterday, no item can be added to our agenda tonight because we're classifying this as special meeting. So at this point, we will move on to item 4, and we will move on to item 4, which is public comment. So if there's anybody in the public that wishes to make a statement, they can do so now.
Through the chair, we advertised that public comments could be received via email, and I have not received any email to date, but it will be monitored throughout the meeting. And if one is received for any of your items, it will be read into the record.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. And I'm just going to read one comment that I received, and I will forward this on as well for the record. But the comment reads, I own a home in the 1100 block of Hamilton. I have counted over 100 cars regularly parked on both sides, starting from Fremont on up. This is truly a disgrace. I'm very sorry that housing costs are forcing people to live with many families sharing homes, but it's not fair that many of us cannot have visitors because there is nowhere to park. I believe that a solution can be found if we took the time. We could charge for permits like Monterey, and then you could afford somebody to enforce if, and also the city could make enough money to pave these alleys so that we could park behind our homes. I spoke with several neighbors a few days ago, and we all agreed it might be just a good time to leave Seaside. So that was the one public comment that I received, and there's no other comments. So at this time, I'll move on to item 5, which is approval of minutes. And I did receive January and February. Did everybody else receive January and February?
I did not.
That was sent out back in May when I wasn't sure when we were going to have another meeting again.
Oh, then I probably
We can
did.
continue it if you guys didn't review them.
I seem to remember receiving them now. So if I did receive them, I did look at them and I didn't have any problems.
Is there any other comments about the minutes?
No.
Somebody could make a motion?
I
Motion
move that
to
we
approve.
the minutes on item 5.
Okay, there was a first. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Ramona?
Yes.
Very good. So there's a first and a second. Any public comment? So on these, I do believe with the virtual meetings, we do a roll call vote on all the items. So we'll do a roll call vote. Thank you, Jackie.
sorry, Alex Miller,
Yes.
Ramona Oleda Reed,
Yes.
Ray Bennett,
Yes.
Dennis Alexander,
Yes.
Veronica Velasco.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that passes and moves forward. So we'll approve those. I do have a binder with all of the minutes. So if anybody needs to refer to any minutes in the past, send me a message and I have all the minutes, all of our action minutes from our past meetings. So the next item on our agenda is item 6, and that is our under business, and that's our annual work plan. And I know we talked about this at our meeting before we stopped meeting. So we talked about it in February or March. So how does the commission wish to proceed? We haven't done anything for 6 months. So do we indicate that in our work plan, or I did start it. We did start the work plan and we can complete the things from last year, but what things should we add for this year since we've been kind of stale for several months? So if anybody has any comments, that now's a good time.
Alex?
Dennis, thank you.
We had talked a while ago, maybe it was March, maybe it was earlier this year, about getting the possibly getting the dumpsters more than just once a year. You know, we used to get them 3 or 4 times a year. And I just remember that the neighbors just really loved that. It was something that was unexpected. It was a chance for them to not have to go out to the dumpster place. It reclaimed a lot of yards. Given the times we're under, I think we can still do it if we take the precautions. I mean, stores are open, we just got to stay, keep a distance and wear the gloves, masks.
Dennis, I don't mean to interrupt. We do have that on our agenda tonight. That's item D. Item D is going to be neighborhood cleanup. So when we discuss item D, could you tell us maybe an area of Seaside that you think that we should do this in?
Okay, we'll do. I must have missed it on the agenda.
No worries. Absolutely no problem. But for the annual work plan, I'm not sure how to proceed with that. So any suggestions?
Maybe we should get some input from staff as to what they think we should do and what the other commissions have done.
Through the chair?
Yes.
I agree. Part of every commission's job is to find out where they can help staff. And we should see, especially given these times, the budget is down. This is where we can really fit in. So we should find out what staff, where they could use some help and kind of follow that route.
Understand. Mr. Little, are you on the conversation with us? How are you?
Good, I'm here.
Working hard?
Oh, yeah. So I may have to check and see what some of the other commissions are doing in regards to their work plans, if that's what the question was.
You want me to repeat the question?
I see Leslie has her hand up here, so maybe she can help with this one.
If through the chair, if it's okay if I jump in. So I participated on several of the commission meetings where they were discussing their work plans, and they were trying to revise the plan consistent with the number of meetings that they're having and what they really thought that they could accomplish with COVID. So one thing that we've all most people, I can't say all, I can't speak for all of us. One thing a lot of us have accepted is the fact that COVID is not going away anytime soon. At the very beginning, when we adopted our work plans, we thought it would be very short-lived. It does not seem to be. So we need to adopt our work plans according to our reduced budget, our reduced staffing, and our reduced ability to congregate with people. So that would be my my largest recommendation for any changes that you make to your work plan is I love the idea of adding you know, having the neighborhood cleanups because the Last Chance Mercantile is closed, because the large item pickup through Greenways has has resumed, but just life is a little bit different for people. So just as you're planning things, think about the ways that you should not encourage congregation. But as far as our meeting frequency that we meet, maybe identify different things that you could do as commissioners independently or as a ad hoc committee is an option. And so you can still make progress on certain things. That's what I've seen other committees doing. They're creating ad hoc committees, but they're revising the work plan to make it a little bit more approachable with those 3 considerations, if that's helpful.
Yeah. I like the ad hoc or slash subcommittees. I like that idea because otherwise nothing will get done. But we still would have to keep that social distancing, even if we designate 3 people on a subcommittee. So I don't know, but I don't know. But yes, I do like the idea of having an ad hoc on projects.
When is this work plan due to be presented?
So the city council was going to hear it at this meeting this Thursday, but we knew you hadn't approved your plan and we didn't want to rush it. So we're going to do it at the first meeting or the September 17th meeting. So also just because of the frequency of meetings, if you have discussions tonight and you provide general direction to staff, they can take all your comments, put it into something, then email it to you. And you can email it back to the staff liaison and you can formalize it that way. As just as an option to get it approved.
I see. So if we finish the plan, then we don't need to meet again, if I understand that correctly.
If you're all in agreement in general with the philosophy and all the different elements of it, staff can just finalize what your decisions are within the document. Yeah.
Okay. And for the ad hoc committee and a subcommittee, are you talking about actually us doing one for the work plan?
No, I'm just saying, like, if there was an element of the work plan, like if you wanted to say, I would like to, if 2 of you wanted to say, I would like to take on the neighborhood cleanup efforts, and I can do a lot of the planning and just report back to you guys. So if you have 2 people that are I think you have 7 members. So if you have 2 or 3 people who want to be on the subcommittee for, and the holiday lights competition is coming up. There's going to be a little bit of work, not too much, but a little bit of work that needs to be done for that. You could have a subcommittee that's working on that in the next month or 2. If you want a subcommittee that's working, I think you had some website improvements, or if you have a subcommittee that wants to work on your neighborhood watch program, you can do that so you can continue to make some progress between meetings. Sometimes, I mean, not that I'm trying to skirt the Brown Act, but sometimes having 2 people in a room or 3 people being able to communicate, you can get a lot done and then come back to the main group and present those ideas. Sometimes you can I've seen committees make a lot more progress that way on a lot of their work products.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate that. That was a good answer.
That
That's
might
me.
be a
Sorry about
violation.
that. Yep. Say that again.
That might be a Brown Act violation, though. We'll have to look into that. I mean,
The phone ringing. Were you being
Okay.
serious, Shanda? Or just kidding?
no, yeah, I was
Oh.
piggybacking on what Leslie was saying, only
Oh, I
because
thought you meant the
of what.
phone.
No, that was cute, though.
I thought it was adding levity. So it's a violation if you make a decision as an entire body, but if you do it
Right.
as a subcommittee and you bring your recommendations as a subcommittee
Mm-hmm.
to the main group and say, this is what we'd like to do, here's our plan that we have together, and then the full committee can say yes or no. That's the way that you get around, that you work with the Brown Act.
Right. I have to be sure. I haven't looked into that in so long, but thank you for clarifying it.
And the definition of a subcommittee or an ad hoc committee is it has a very specific and defined purpose, and it has a
Right.
has a defined end date. So as soon as you
Mhm.
hit your goal, then it dissolves. So if you have a
Right.
work item that's specific to that project, you can meet independently on that as long as it's less than a quorum.
Right. Okay.
So back onto our item now is our annual work plan. And we have some projects from in the past, but we don't have many projects for this year. So Leslie, do you think, can Ray and I, or whoever wants to work on the work plan, submit it to the city next week, and then it can go in front of the city council on the 17th?
Yeah, we're gonna need it so I've already sent all the other commission work plans to the city council, just so they're aware of it in advance. Because they wanted to see them. They requested them in advance. But yes, we're going to need them by Tuesday of next week officially, for the staff reports and to make sure that they go through the routing process, and then they'll be published live by Thursday of next week.
Why are we always getting lowballed, or I don't know, what's the word? Why are we always getting the shaft? Our committee is the last one to get information. Our committee is always the last one to get on the meeting, anything. We're always the ones to get. I don't know. It's just we're always like the redheaded stepchild in the room. And now we're having to get move up till Tuesday as opposed to the 17th.
Shonda, I just want to say that we were supposed to do this back in March,
Right.
and February and March, and Ray and I did work on it a little bit, but since the COVID, we kind of stopped working on it. So I do hear your concern. I definitely hear your concern. But we could try to figure out a way to get it done. Ray,
Yeah, okay.
Have you done any of it, Ray? Do you remember what you've done, your part?
If it was over 15 minutes ago, I don't remember, but I think I worked some on it, and I think you and I were working on it. So why don't you and I continue working on it? And
But why don't you and I
yes.
work on it, and Ramona, we'll work on it tonight and get that to them, get it to Leslie by Friday.
And just for the record, if I can, Chair, being a redheaded stepchild, kind of funny. I understand that. I understand that a little bit more than most people. Some of the other commissions also formalized their work plan through email afterward. They had their meeting just recently. I got one of them finalized just on Friday of last week. So you guys are not far behind. But if there is a lack of communication, I would like to hear more and figure out what we can do about that. So that's a conversation. I'll take your comment, and maybe if you want to talk with me later, if there's a way that we can communicate more city information to you a little bit more fully. I'd spoken with your chair, Mr. Miller, about that. And I want to start filtering more information through the commission, so you guys are aware of everything that's happening in the city, so that you can make better decisions, and you can find out where you can add the value that you're trying to add. And you do a great job, and we're thankful for you. So if there's a way that I can help with that, please let me know.
Thank you. I didn't mean to cause offense, Leslie. I just
No, it
that's
wasn't
the
offensive to
terminology.
me. No, I understand it completely. No
Yeah,
offense.
it's a Southern thing.
Yeah.
Alex, I think you and I were already on a commission or on a committee to do the work plan. So I don't think it's going to require a vote for us to do it again. Can we just, what do you think?
Well, from listening to Leslie, I do think what we could do is you and I get it done in the next couple of days, because it's not that much, because we've already done a lot of it. And then we'll email it we'll have the staff email it to the commission. And if nobody has a problem, then we'll give it to Leslie for final submission.
Yeah, I left Ramona out of that, Ramona included.
Isn't that the annual, is it almost similar to the one last year? Because I don't think anything's changed except maybe the portal project is off the annual plan finally, but
go ahead, Leslie.
can you fill me in?
I do have one thing to add in this. it comes up later on the agenda, but I just wanted to throw this on there now. So this year is a little bit different than previous years because you actually have some funding. You have funding that came in through the short-term rental TOT. And I would encourage you to start thinking about the projects that you want to use that funding for. So I don't have it pulled up because I thought it'd be a little bit later in the agenda, but I can do that really quickly and pull up what those numbers are. If it's helpful for your conversation, or I can wait till later, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to hear.
Okay. Okay. Let me pull it up.
Isn't it on the agenda later on? Item,
It's only under reports, but I think it's kind of relevant to
Relevant right now.
about how you can go forward. Because when I saw the report, I was a little surprised myself and thought, wow, this is a little exciting. And here I'm looking at my email. I'm definitely building suspense, so I want you to know that. That's really what my strategy is.
And I want the commission to know that I tried to get this number and no one would give it to me because I wanted to wait to everybody hear at the same time. So
Here it is. If I had a drum roll, this would be great. So last year we received, because it was our very first year, fiscal year 18-19, we received $42,000 in total TOT revenue for the short-term rental program. And then 50% of it went to the neighborhood improvement, 50% goes to affordable housing. Sorry. Thank you.
Yep.
And then you received $18,966 last year. So, and that was allocated toward the Contra Costa basketball court improvements, which I'm so excited to say is moving forward. The city partnered and got the rest of the funding for that project. But this year, we received a total short-term rental revenue of $383,000.
Wow.
And you get 50% of that, which you have to spend. Oh, so less there's administrative allowance that we pulled out of that, which was almost 100% exclusively, I would say 98% exclusively the short-term rental helper that helps us with the enforcement and the registrations, minus that $19,000. So you have $172,551 to spend this year, which is a nice chunk of change to put toward a park improvement or some plans or
Very good.
projects.
Excellent. Thank you.
Leslie, could you repeat that? Leslie, could you repeat that? The amount?
$172,551.
Wow.
So that came in just from the transient occupancy tax from the short-term rentals. So, and that's only 50% of what we earned. Now, you get this money when it's finally audited, which will be a few months from now because the fiscal year just closed. But there is nothing to say you can't start planning your projects right now because it takes time, because it takes time to get engineering plans. It takes time to build contracts. It takes time to do stuff. But just knowing that you have that amount of money, I want you guys to start dreaming about this. You've had some great ideas in the past, and this can, and $172,000 doesn't go far with ADA compliance in parks, but it can go for great. I mean, you can do a lot of things, more than you've been able to do so far.
Yeah.
Guys, I just want to put this in perspective. I remember back in the early aughts when I was on the commission the first time, our budget was in the low thousands.
Yeah, this is the first time. So, and then but keep this in perspective too. Next year is not going to be the same because we are down 78% on our TOT because of COVID. So next year is going to be different. So this is kind of your golden year, which will be great. And then hopefully we'll have one blip and then it'll be this going forward. So I want to, now it's all you. You guys have your conversation.
Thank you.
doesn't Parks and Rec get part of that TOT as well?
No housing. Affordable housing, she said.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's
50% goes to affordable housing, 50% goes to the neighborhood improvement. To be used, the way that it was written, to be used for park improvements and neighborhood activities. So, but you are the commission that gets to decide and make the recommendations to the city council for it.
To the chair.
Please.
Alex, I don't know if we finished the conversation from earlier, but I'd like to get just some input from staff of projects that fall under our purview that we can help them with. Because I'm assuming that there's, you know, as soon as the, that, you know, that's something we agree with as well, because those are projects that, of course, they're important for the cities. I'd like to just, you know, if we can get a list of projects that staff has to put on hold right now because of the smaller budget and whatnot.
Leslie, is there a certain thing that comes to your mind that you've gotten several complaints or comments about that we might be able to take on? Just off the top of your head. If not, it's okay.
Well, I know that you guys had previously, or the Parks and Rec Commission had previously wanted to put in some sort of ADA compliant playground equipment. And there was some issues with funding on that, just to build the pathways and the ramps. What else? Sidewalks. I mean, I would hate for your money just to be used up by sidewalks, but with so many people walking now during COVID, they're out in your community and walking so much more frequently. There's been a lot more complaints about sidewalk improvements. We did significantly more last year than any year on record, but the money doesn't go far, is because you have to do curb and gutter as well. So I don't know if that's the best use of your funds, but if you talk about complaints, sidewalk improvements.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Mr. Little might have more.
Thank you.
knowledge.
So little.
There are some things, there are some needs, and I noticed when I was going by the portal project, you know, the bender board, I guess you could call it, that was supposed to keep the pathway together. I noticed that bender board is coming up all over the place. In my mind, it would make sense to put maybe a curbing, or, you know, I mean, at ground level, but maybe a concrete type of curbing that would retain that decomposed granite, that path, and even possibly put a transition at the very end of it with concrete where it could have truncated domes where it goes right into. I mean, there's some improvements that could happen in my mind to the portal project. The other thing is, you know, one of the issues that's come up time and time again is having additional dumpsters. You know, I mean, if we have, as a commission, I mean, when I say we, I mean you as a commission have, you know, $172,000. It seems silly in my mind to have arguments with Green Waste about what they're allowing in their contract for a dumpster. And can we please have 2 dumpsters a year or 3 dumpsters a year? You know, I think that would be something that could easily be recommended to the council. Hey, that, you know, Green Waste has given us 1 freebie and we're going to pay for another one, or we're going to pay for 2 more, or whatever the commission decides. So those are the kinds of things that I think that having money that can be spent can take care of things that you know, and you might think of more things. For instance, we've got the PG&E fence. You know, PG&E, okay, we may, through a long period of time, pressuring them, you know, and trying to make it a priority to them to paint that fence. In my mind, that's probably not even a low priority for them. You know, PG&E is dealing with infrastructure systems that are in fires and so forth. I mean, so to paint a fence it could be that instead the approach is, we would like to paint the fence, or we would like to pay to have the fence professionally painted or something like that. You know what I mean? Now, I'm going to stop because I could probably spend half this money on things that I'm just thinking of, and it's really your, it's for you to decide and to recommend to council.
Got it. Thank you. We are still on item 6, annual work plan. And what I'm hearing is that people we want to add more. So we had a discussion about ad hoc committees and subcommittees. I'm just wondering if we want to put together an ad hoc committee that makes recommendations on new projects for the 170,000. That's what's going through my mind. If you think that might be a good idea. I did introduce a new project, which is on our agenda later, which is the San Pablo Bridge project. And that bridge that connects two parks could look really nice. And there are some improvements we can do for that. I don't know how much that costs, but in terms of item 6, was there any further comment?
As far as developing a subcommittee / ad hoc, I don't think it would be helpful to have a subcommittee to think of things to do with the city. I think as a group, we could think of things to do for the city, and with staff's help, sounds like they have a lot of ideas. And then once we get that plan, then we can develop a subcommittee for that one plan. But to have a subcommittee to two people thinking of everything, when I think we have the city's help to do that, I think it would be more helpful to have a subcommittee for an actual project instead of what else can we do for the city. Once we've determined what we want, then you should assign best assign a subcommittee to that project. My own opinion.
Okay. Thank you, Ramona. I agree. Any other discussion on item 6?
Through the chair.
Please.
We'll have to find out whether or not this is even within the city's codes. But I remember we did it years ago. And that's when you look at nonprofits that, again, do the same job that falls within what we do, because they're suffering right now too, and work with them. The example I'm thinking of is, we used to work with a group called Rebuilding Together. And what that did was rehabilitate houses and yards, painting, cleaning of disabled and elderly who can't pay for it and do it for themselves. I don't know whether or not that would apply anymore, but with the budget we have, I just put that out there to discuss. I know a lot of nonprofits are hurting very much right now, and if we can work together with some that falls within neighborhood improvement things, maybe we can talk about it.
I think that was something that Veronica brought up the last time we met, that rebuilding of neighborhoods and homes. So I think Dennis and Veronica were talking about that. So that is how to get hold of Rebuilding America or whatever their firm is called.
I guess still am on the board, but we really haven't done much in about 2 years. So if I could put it out to the rest of the board, we could see if it's still, really, it's kind of dead in the water right now. But
yeah.
But that's because what I just mentioned, that there's just no money.
Yeah. Oh, so maybe we can use our monies for that, maybe.
Plus, it would be together type project, so where they would have to put some money into it as well.
if we want to add something to this work plan for the future, like that, for item 6, if we want to add an item to our work plan that says we're going to work with Rebuilding America or Rebuilding Community together.
What is it?
Rebuilding.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, we can either put it on next meeting's agenda, and we can figure that out for 2021, or you can make a motion and we can include that into this year's work plan for future projects if you'd like it to be on the work plan.
Right, but I would have to find out from, the board hasn't met in a long time, and it was largely due to what's going on right now. But I would have to see if the board still, basically several have moved, one has passed away. So, there's a small board right now, and so I would have to talk to them to see if it's still doable. But I would.
So
let's talk about it. If it's something we want to follow up.
So why don't we put that on the next agenda? I'll make sure I'm making a note of it now. I'll make sure that we talk about that for 2021 and could potentially use some of the funds that we have for that program. Is that good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else on item 6? Yes, Leslie?
Just through the chair, you could just add something to your work plan that's generic enough. If you get general direction that says, identify opportunities for TOT funding as, described at a later date. I mean, if you wanted something, and it could say, you could say potentially allocate and put a couple different items, potentially allocating resources to nonprofit organizations, potentially for park improvements, potentially for neighborhood cleanups. If you wanted to identify a few different categories, you don't have to get that specific, but that could just be your element on the work plan. Identification of new usages of funding from TOT revenues. Just so the council knows that you're using it. If you gave them a few different specific categories you were thinking about, it might be helpful, but not necessary. If that's helpful, you mean general guidance is totally okay too.
Got it. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we will move on to 6B, and that is House of the Month. And Leslie, at this point, I was hoping maybe you could give us a quick rundown of the new ordinance, our meetings, so we can address how we're going to do our future House of the Months. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, House of the Month is, I know that you do business of the quarter, and I didn't think of how that would impact House of the Month. So the way, because we did lose several staff members in different departments, not in the building department. Oh, actually, we did lose positions and funding in the building department as well. We had to reorganize the allocation of staff. The city council also held a meeting and prioritized what we should be doing. And one of the recommendations that came from the city council themselves was reducing meeting frequency. They actually suggested that we meet only biannually. Staff met on an individual level and said, we don't think that's valuable. We think these community members, they want to participate. They want to participate more than just twice a year. We need to accomplish more and keep them involved. So we said that we compromised on quarterly. So we we passed an ordinance, and it said that every commission except for the planning commission would meet quarterly or as necessary to accomplish what was, specific business. So you do still have the ability to call special meetings when necessary. We really encourage you to keep that at a minimum because this was a measure intended to, when you do something, you want to do it well. So if you, as an example of a restaurant, and this is what seemed to resonate the best, if you go to a restaurant and even though there are a ton of open seats, if you do not have enough servers to adequately serve people to a good hospitality capacity, everyone is still dissatisfied because your food is cold, your food is late, it takes forever to get it because you just don't have enough staff. So we can reduce the number of meetings, keep it reasonable. If maybe the commissioners can help out a little bit more with these ad hoc committees, we can still accomplish the goals as a team together. But that's kind of how the ordinance came about. Our meetings are quarterly. That's why we haven't met since March. We're hoping that we can, hopefully as we recover, things can come back and we can this is not necessarily a forever timeline. We hope not, because we really value your input. And we know what you guys are doing is important. And you guys help us keep the pulse on what's happening in the community and what's necessary. We can all day work with blinders, and, you know, I can do my city clerk stuff. I can do my short-term rental stuff. Mr. Little can do his building stuff, but you guys help us stay connected to what's important in the community. So if that's helpful, sir. It's up to you how
Yes,
you want
that's very helpful.
with the monthly House of the Month.
Great, thank you. So if everybody, I hope everybody understands that now, that moving forward, we will be meeting quarterly, this commission, and this commission's next meeting, I think, Mr. Little, we decided on December 1st, is that correct?
Yeah.
So our next meeting will be December 1st. And our agenda says October 6th, but that's incorrect. It'll be December 1st because we're meeting quarterly. So how do you guys wish to proceed on the House of the Month?
I suggest that we just have House of the Quarter and not House of the Month. That's my suggestion.
I agree.
I agree as well. House of the Month gets a prize, and you know, the budget needs to be directed towards the. I remember Rene Rubio, we were under budget crisis years ago, and he said that, you know, the blood of the body flows back to the important thing, which is the heart and not the limbs so much. So, you know, we need to think of it in that way. That, you know, those are things right now that the city really needs. And we'll get back to her. You know, there will be a.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it.
We will.
Does anybody not like House of the Quarter? And how shall we break up the city?
Well, there's 12.
Four.
John,
We'd break it up into 4 quarters, right? And I don't know where the boundary lines we should put on there. I guess we can combine some neighborhoods together. Because we only need 4, is that correct? Do I have that right? If everyone agrees to quarter, I don't know if we've all come to an agreement on that. Once a quarter, House of the Quarter. I didn't hear from Ray.
well, we have
Ray,
12 zones, neighborhoods right now, correct? No, we just
11, I
divide
think,
by,
yeah.
3, and the ones that are adjacent to each other, close enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
It seems to me that the reason we do House of the Month is to create interest in people improving their homes. And House of the Quarter, I don't think will do anything toward improving homes. It's just to be maybe a little bit of recognition for 4 times a year. It just doesn't seem like it's worth the effort. You know what I mean? Because if we combine 4 neighborhoods, that's a big area. That's a big area for one of us to look at, or even 2 of us. So that's what I think.
Well, it's not going to be like this forever. Like Dennis alluded to, we will become normal again, whatever normal is. And it's just a temporary. I do see your point though, Ray. But I don't know if it is useful. I don't even know if the House of the Month did promote that to others in the neighborhood, maybe in that block, but I don't know if it helped the whole city of Seaside and said, oh, I mean, a lot of people are unaware that there's a House of the Month. I don't know how much it helped improve other residents' homes.
I would think we should.
recommend.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think we should suspend it until we go back to normal House of the Month. I did have one person tell me that they cleaned up their home because a neighbor got House of the Month and they wanted to participate in that. But that's the only feedback I've had, that it actually does some work, does good. So it just seems like it doesn't make any difference to do it 4 times a year, if it hardly makes any difference to do it once a month.
Point well taken.
Through the chair.
Yes, Dennis?
I understand Ray's point, but it's, something that's going on for such a long time, and the owners of the house really appreciated it. They may have done their improvements, whether we gave them the few $100s or not, but it's a good point of recognition, and I really would like to bring it back. If we cut it off totally, it's just going to be harder to bring it back when the time comes. That just seems to happen sometimes when you cut something off totally, just to bring it back is.
I'm okay with giving 2 awards each quarter. I'm okay with giving 2 houses of the month each quarter, breaking it into 8 sections. I do think that improvement is contagious, and when somebody maintains their property, they should be acknowledged, and they should be, the city's a way to reach out to the public. But I also understand Ray's position that it is a lot of work for what in return are we getting. So any other commissioners? Okay. Well, we're gonna have to come to some kind of decision about how we're gonna proceed with this. And yes, please, Dennis.
Make this an agenda item for December, maybe start the year off, the next year off with a plan on that.
Or do we? Or is this coming up for December? Do you want this for December, Alex?
I'm okay with anything. I'm okay with doing a house of the month
Okay.
for December. Yes, or next year.
I would rather we make a decision to come up for something for December. I mean, we've had this year, this was not on my bingo card. So let's come up with something I think we should do something to end out the year really nicely. And that would be, I have no problems with it.
Well, we do have the holiday decorating contest in December. And one problem with having the meeting on the 1st is, when will we meet to decide the winner of that? So we would have some presence. If you want to do a house of the quarter, that's fine. Or I just throwing my thoughts in. So you guys decide.
We could also not do a house of the month for the rest of the year and pick back up in 2021. That is on the table. Doing it quarterly is on the table. Not doing it all is on the table.
Okay, so we have December, we have the decorating contest. And then we can pick up the house of the month, house of the quarter, starting in January or March.
Our first meeting in 2021, yes.
Okay, why don't we do that? I'm fine with that. Since the decorating contest is a big deal. So I'm fine with that. Is anybody else fine with that?
Yeah, I agree with Shanda on that one.
Yeah, I like it too. Also in December, we'll have a better handle on when or if we're going to go back to monthly meetings. So I would
Yeah.
say suspend House of the Month for the rest of the year, at least till December.
Okay, anybody else? So I'll entertain a motion then, if anybody wants to
I
put
so
that in.
move
And your motion is?
that we suspend the house of the month and house of the quarter until the first of the year, and we proceed with the holiday decorating contest in December.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, there's a first and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote, please.
Alex Miller,
Aye.
Ramona Leda Reed,
Aye.
Ray Bennett,
Aye.
Dennis Alexander,
Aye.
Shonda LaBeouf,
Aye.
Veronica Velasco.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Jackie. So now we'll move on to item C, business of the quarter, 2020. And I'm okay with not making any modifications to this one and proceeding with a business. So typically with this, what I do is I ask for nominations of businesses that people would like to nominate, and then we'll bring it down to one. But I do think that we should continue with the business of the quarter. I do think that because our businesses have been hurt the most in this pandemic, and I would like to award a business. So I will start, and I'm going to nominate Deja Blue, and I'm nominating them because they are a new business and bringing in a restaurant downtown. So anybody else, I'll open it up to any.
It's been so long, I can't remember if we selected Other Brother, but I'd like to put them on the board for it too. I can't remember if we did that. I can't remember the last business of the quarter that we selected, but I'd like to nominate them as well.
Okay. Anybody else with businesses that they think should be included?
I'd like to nominate Other Brother as well.
Jackie, did we select Other Brother before? You should have a list there somewhere.
I don't show that Other Brother Brewery has won business of the quarter.
I believe the last business of the quarter was Butterhouse.
Butterhouse.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We only have two businesses nominated. Is there any other business? Can anybody think of a new business or a business that has met or exceeded expectation of the city?
I do. It's the Seaside Liquor Store that they revised their over on, was it Broadway? They look really nice from Curb Appeal. I think that one's also a really nice one. It's really nice inside there as well. I think it's called Seaside Liquor.
Yeah. Instead of Monterey signs. Instead of Monterey signs in Seaside.
I think Other Brother is a good choice. It really made a big difference on that corridor, south part of the west part of Broadway. I think it really improved that area. Just not only their business, but that whole area looks better because of them.
Okay, we have three on the table. Was there any other businesses? Well, it'll make it easy if we just have three. It doesn't sound like my choice was too popular, so we can decide between Other Brother or the Seaside Liquor Store, which I think was a good nomination because I do think that they improved that area as well. I do think it's possible to give two businesses an award because of our situation. But
I agree
I'm
with
okay.
that. I agree
Yeah.
with that. We can go
Since
for-
we did skip the second quarter
Agreed.
or the third
Excellent
quarter, I
idea.
guess.
Excellent idea, Alex.
Yeah, good suggestion.
Mr. Little, is there a problem with that?
No, I don't see any problem with it. Now, as far as presentation, this could be something that could be presented by maybe one or two commissioners just going to the business itself and doing a presentation, or because, we don't have
Mm.
I suppose well, Leslie's still on. I suppose we could put it on as a city council item and kind of make more of an announcement and invite them to participate in the our kind of our virtual council meeting. But
Yeah, I think it's,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just think it's good that it's announced publicly like that. So I don't know presentation, but at least announced publicly that they've been honored by our commission.
So it could potentially be something where we have maybe a couple of commissioners go to the business and do the presentation. We can let the business know. They could receive the plaque, and then we could make more of an announcement type of thing at the city council
Yeah.
meeting.
Yes.
I think that it is good to get as much fanfare out of it as possible, which I think lended to Ray's earlier comments with the House of the Month, because we're not really doing the whole presentation, and really nobody is going to know about it except for probably the recipient. But the business of the quarter, maybe there's things we can do that would make it a little bit more of a public type of announcement. I see Leslie's on, so she might have some thoughts on that.
Thank you, Leslie.
Through the chair. So we have a few different abilities, especially with our social media channels, since we have several of them, including one that's specifically catering to businesses through our economic development department, one for our city accounts, our public safety accounts. I think it would be great if we started advertising the business and the houses that are selected by your commission. Our challenge, the only challenge that I've had with the House of the Quarter is some people like to remain anonymous. We did have one situation where someone did not want to be recognized. I guess they'd been recognized previously and they wanted everything pulled down because they had a public safety issue. And so when it's pertaining to people's residences, I get a little bit squirrely, but businesses, I'll promote them all day. If that's what you want, we can put them on all our social media accounts. We can put them right on our homepage. We can absolutely start showcasing them to do what Mr. Bennett was talking about. Actually encourage people to try to change their properties to strive for some kind of cool city award. So the fact that there was one person that said they improved their house for that, I think that's fantastic. I know that I improve my house when I see things happening. I want awards. That'd be awesome. I never got an NIC award. I think we have some, because we're in a digital environment now with COVID, I think we need to start leveraging our digital channels differently than we have in the past. So I am offering to you, if you want to use that to promote your business and House of the Quarter, we can do that as an option.
Great. Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
is it okay? Do you think it would be acceptable to have all 7 of us attend that restaurant? Maybe not the liquor store, but at least maybe we can go down there. I mean, we're not going to discuss any business, but we can do the presentation, all 7 of us, and maybe have a beer. I mean, just to say we celebrate you.
That.
Yeah, that we're celebrating them. I don't know, just a suggestion.
Buy our own beer. Yeah, we can do that.
Well, I think we should probably move to approve the 2 businesses, and then we can put a to be determined ceremony. And Mr. Little's idea of going there is excellent. And then potentially we could take a picture with whoever shows up and ask Leslie to put on the Facebook or whatever, a picture of our commission giving them an award or whatever it is. But that could be determined later if we decide we wanted to do it that way. But I think that should be included in the motion.
Okay. Hit it, Ramona.
I move to have Other Brother as our House of the Quarter, Business of the Quarter, as well as Seaside Liquors as Business of the Quarter. And I suggest that we be present at that time to celebrate their championship, if you will.
Just an amendment at a date to be determined. Are you okay with that?
Of course, yeah. For who's going to attend? Yeah,
Right, at a date to be
that
determined.
portion, yeah. So that's my motion.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you.
At a date to be determined.
So Sandra with the second. Thank you. Any public comment?
No
Seeing
chat.
none. Was there any? All in favor? Or I'm so sorry. Roll call vote, please.
Alex Miller,
Choppy.
Aye.
Ramona Aleda Reed,
Aye.
Ray
I
Bennett,
think she wants something.
Aye.
Dennis Alexander,
Someone on the counter.
Shonda LaBeouf,
Aye.
Veronica
You have to probably feed it
Velasco.
to her.
Aye.
Can I just confirm Other Brother Brewery is going to be the winner of the second quarter and Seaside Liquor is the winner of the third quarter?
I
That's,
believe the motion is that this quarter will have 2 winners.
Oh, this third quarter. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to item D. I know Dennis has been waiting to talk about that. So the item is neighborhood cleanup. David did bring up, Mr. Little, brought up a good point about us not necessarily negotiating or fighting over a contract, even though I think that they are contractually obligated. That's okay. I'm willing to pay them. I'm willing to, if we do one this year, maybe we can do 3 or 4 dumpsters in different areas, same day. But I do think that tonight we should get on the books at least our one that we're entitled to and get that going for 2020 and pick a date and an area we think is fit. But I do think that we could probably use some money to have multiple dumpsters. So I'll open it up to the commission. Or Dennis, this is what you want to talk about, what you were talking about earlier.
Right, I'm sorry, I had to mute. Yeah, I think we used to have 3 dumpsters in a certain neighborhood, and maybe we can just look at the one, maybe start with a bang and see which neighborhood needs it the most with the help of staff, which one they would recommend. Obviously, some neighborhoods are going to need the help than others. So yeah, I'd like to hear from staff which neighborhood they would recommend. But I think we start that way. Are you thinking about before the end of the year or starting the new year?
I'd like to do one this year, but I'd like to hear from staff. Yeah, thank you.
Good. So if staff can get back to us sometime, or unless some of you would recommend a neighborhood, or now it might be not just one, but 3 together. Is that what we're looking at? Since we're only going to have a quarterly, of course, you can't get a whole lot of houses, get rid of their what they want to get rid of. We're covering 3, usually 3 neighborhoods. So could staff maybe provide us with some neighborhoods that they feel needs the most work as far as cleanups?
So I did have a conversation with Alfred Soto, our code enforcement officer, about this. And he just made a really general comment, and it was, I'm not quite sure. I thought he said 1100 block, but he said anywhere in the 1100 block. And I thought he was talking about areas where the streets are one way and then they turn and then come back out. And I'd have to confirm with him, but he basically told me anywhere in a very, seemed like a pretty large area would work. It's just a matter of finding a spot that would be suitable for a rollaway to get on and off a truck.
Right, and before if I remember correctly, the dumpsters were never on the street because you couldn't get them out for obvious reasons. They were on a larger throughway that was close to the area we wanted to clean.
I actually have a suggestion. It might be, I don't know, it's just a suggestion. But you know those trucks that go around and you can actually have them haul stuff away from you, and they go to your house and they can pick up your junk? You know, those kind of those junk, I don't know what you call them, but they come around and you can pay for them and they'll load it, because not everybody has a truck to load. I wonder if there's a way or somehow we can hire a couple of those and pay for those and drive around in neighborhoods that we see that they have a lot of things that are, you know, like you see washing machines or something, and just say, hey, this is a part of the neighborhood improvement. You know, if you want to throw anything out, we're here, and they can go ahead and remove them and throw in as much as they can in that truck until we get it filled. And we can have, you know, numerous of those. I don't know how many of those trucks, but it's just an idea, a thought, because some people don't have a truck to take the stuff out and, you know, and haul away. Those haul away trucks. It's just a suggestion.
Okay.
One thing we need to keep in mind is the way we get this word out is we do flyering. And do we want to have 2 or 3 of us going out through the neighborhood handing out flyers during this pandemic? How would the members feel about that? And how would the people in the homes feel about answering the door to talk to one of us, or even if it's something to help them get rid of stuff? Just any comments on that?
Well, I would just say, yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. I remember, you know, again, I keep on referring to before, and you to actually do that, but we didn't always knock on the door. You know, we wanted to get as many flyers, and people read that, and remember at council meetings, they would be very appreciative of that. So we just, you know, knock on the door with flyer, and maybe, you know, went to the next house, because you're right. These are large areas, and we need to cover them. So just leaving the flyer in the doorway, I think that might be enough. As long as the flyer has all the information that you need.
Yep, I was going to say the same thing. Anybody else? Okay. Veronica, I like that idea. I think that's going to need to be possibly thought of, and how much that would cost. I have used those services before, and it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little bit concerned of the cost.
Yeah,
That's my only reservation with that. I love the idea. I think we can move forward with that somehow. I want to bring that up, but I don't want that to necessarily us not do something. So I'm thinking September 26th, and I'm thinking Saturday morning for 3 hours or 2 hours, and doing 2 dumpsters and requesting from Greenways 2 dumpsters or 1 dumpster. Any thoughts on date or any other comments about possibly doing a mobile service, how we could implement that.
Is there anything else going on that date, 26th September?
Yes, please. Oh, Leslie, yes, thank you.
Through the chair, I love the idea of the mobile service, but I'm sorry, I stepped out for just 1 second. I think it would actually violate our franchise agreement with Green Waste Services if we hired someone else to pick up our waste, because there is a provision in there that requires that we use them for waste hauling services. So, and we can try to look at the contract and see how we can get around that. We might be able to contract with Green Waste to do a very similar thing. It's out of our contract, but if we're going to pay someone, we could pay them at a reduced cost. Like, it's something I could try to negotiate with them. So I'm willing to do that. I just want to be clear about that, if that's okay. It's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, there is ability probably to work out something with Green Waste, but do we want to set a dumpster day now for the rest of the year, or do we want to bring this back for further negotiation? How do we want to proceed?
I think we should just set a date and just go with it, set the date like you have it. The extra.
Okay. Any
If
suggestions
we're
on?
going to do it, sorry, if we're going to do it this year, we have to set a date today.
Yes, Ray, do you have a suggestion on date?
I have no problem with what you said, September 26th. Is there anything else, looking at the calendar, I don't have anything in front of me. Is there a holiday or anything else close to that date?
So I'm going to be out of town on the 26th. I don't know that necessarily matters. I mean, this is something that could be arranged to happen without me there. But I think that really the key element to the success of this is really getting the word out. And I would almost like to see maybe some new banners made, because I know the last dumpster event, there wasn't any signage, and I think very few people kind of knew about it. And so it seemed like we only had one dumpster, and it seemed like we could have, it could have been filled up much more. If you recall, it was on, I think on Sonoma, not too far from the Del Monte Manor, just west of Yosemite. And it seemed like it wasn't a really super big bang of an event. It was, people were becoming aware of it kind of on the spur of the moment. And I think part of it was the word didn't get out really well.
I think we have 2 new banners that we could put up.
Yes, Leslie, thank you.
So I just want to ask a question because I want to help facilitate the information getting out. So you guys do it per like a specific neighborhood, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and we don't want to necessarily advertise to the entire city if it's only to a specific neighborhood, correct?
Right.
Okay. So we do have a Nextdoor account that we don't utilize very frequently. That could be a great opportunity to do that. And if you guys could amplify that with your social media to say it's a very specific neighborhood, I have no problem pushing that out and just continuously pushing it out until September 26th. But I would need some very detailed information about which neighborhood you want that to be for. So I just wanted you to know that that is an option. I don't know. So in case you don't see it on the city's website, I don't necessarily want to push it out too much on all of our citywide channels, lest we get too many people. Have you ever considered doing a citywide cleanup day?
We have. That would take a lot more dumpsters. the three filled up in no time. They were usually from 8 to 12 And we were usually done by 10 because we're already full.
Okay. And then the other opportunity right now, we have the use of youth employment interns. And they've currently been going out doing door hangers for the 2020 census. And we still have them right now. Some of them are still continuing to work even though school has started. So we might be able to use them to flyer your very specific neighborhood door to door. I wanted to throw that opportunity out there as well, because that could be helpful.
That's great. That's really helpful.
How long
Is
will we have, how long will they be available?
I'm not exactly sure. I just know that I have one working in my, two of them now working in my office. I think they're actually looking for more projects to do. We had planned to do it just for the summer, but we're actually carrying it over now that school has started, just because we want to keep some kids employed. We want to keep this program going. So I think as long as they want jobs, we're going to keep them.
The reason I'm
Did she-
asking that, I think I'd like for us to wait until David's going to be here. Dave, that's just my opinion. I think he adds a lot to the cleanups. And the next date after that would be October 3rd. Are you available, David?
You're on mute, I think. Oh,
Did we lose Dave?
Mr. Little, the commission is,
My mute on. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, October 3rd looks good. I'll be here October 3rd.
to the chair,
Please.
would it be, maybe Leslie could answer this, or Mr. Little, would it be too costly to get a door hanger instead of our flyers? Or is that too much of a great cost to the city to do that? 'Cause
Door
I
hangers
think
are- They're remarkably inexpensive. So I think I ordered almost 2,000 of them for about $250. So it's not
if we
that.
can get all our, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Leslie. So if we can get all our information on a door hanger, I think that was, I look at those and they don't fly away. You know, I've noticed that when the people that are fixing our streets, I've been getting those door hangers and they're very helpful. How does everyone feel about that in lieu of a,
I think it's good.
what is it? You know, just a piece of paper,
And
flyer.
I'd like to hear from Mr. Soto what, if neighborhood he would recommend for the first one.
Are they leaving now?
Right. So I can talk to you, Dan. I mean, we can.
Okay. I would like to hear from Alfred Soto, which neighborhood he would like to recommend.
Right. Okay. Well, I can talk to him tomorrow. I can send something out by email.
Okay, great, thank you.
I like the door hangers. The only problem I have is that if it's big enough to hold all the information we have, as well as a map of where the dumpster will be. But I really like that idea.
If Mr. Miller is okay with it, I can take your previous flyer and put it into a door hanger and send it out via email to see if you like it before we order it.
that would be absolutely great. Yes, thank you. That would be
Okay.
great. Now, Leslie's idea was to have a citywide, and how many, Leslie, how many city dumpsters do you think we would need to make that happen? A citywide, 3, 4, 5?
You said that you split it up into 12 neighborhoods. Is that correct?
No, we just get recommendations from the code enforcement officer and we go to at-need neighborhoods.
I would have to rely on your experience. I just know marketing wise, it'd be great to do it citywide. I know other cities have done it. It would be a big undertaking to make sure that each site was staffed, but it really, I mean, if we wanted to choose only 3 or 4 sites, that's up to you. We can do that. But we can definitely keep it catered and I can find different media ways. If we have our interns that can do door hangers and we can use Nextdoor, which specifically locates to certain neighborhoods, we can do it. So it's up to you. Maybe in the spring, we do a spring cleanup and it's all citywide.
That would be good too. Yes, that would be good. So does the commission want to move forward with doing one one on October 3rd or doing multiple? Ramona, comment?
Oh,
Ramona,
no, I
did you-
just I liked Leslie's idea, that's all, that we do it in the spring, the citywide cleanup in the spring. That's all I had to say.
Okay, so for this one, is there an area that we can come to an agreement tonight, or do you guys want to wait until we hear from Mr. Soto and then we can decide to be determined on October 3rd?
Oh,
I just want to be sure that October 3rd is clear. There's no other holidays close by. Does anyone have a calendar with holidays on it?
Columbus Day, is that honored in California anymore?
Alex, to answer your question, I'd like to hear from Mr. Soto.
Okay.
I think we can decide on a date and a location. We could decide on a date tonight, and then we could do a location once we get the input from Mr. Soto.
Okay.
And Alex, you would be the one who decides, final decision, since we can't get together as a group between now and then.
So Ray, would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
Okay, let's see. I move that we held a cleanup on October 3rd in a location to be determined by our chairman. I guess that's it.
Alex, just a quick question. I've never been to one of those local cleanups. So do we volunteer and we all show up there, or is it something we talk about off record? How does that work? Just, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, we don't want to put the burden on everybody, but certain commission members are able to come and just talk to residents. It's actually pretty fun. We can, just for a couple hours. I usually bring coffee and some food, donuts or bagels, and we just kind of help people when they bring stuff. In the ones I've done before in the past, people have brought big trucks, and we've just helped them kind of load it in. It's not a requirement. Obviously, it's nice. It'd be nice to see you or have you there, but it would be up to you.
Yeah, Valerie, it really is one of the more fun things we do.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. And then I guess in the flyer, I guess it indicated for them to work. Yeah.
Right. So raised motion still on the table. Do you want further discussion?
Was there a second?
Not yet.
I didn't know,
Okay.
what was the motion? What was the motion? October 3rd? Is that what you guys, is that what he?
That was my motion, yes. October
Oh,
3rd,
okay.
and have Alex decide where the location is with input from Mr. Soto and Dave
That's-
Little.
I second that.
Ray, would you be willing to amend it to denote the time?
Sure. Time as amendment, the time would be from 9 o'clock to noon or when the dumpster's filled.
And Ramona, do you agree with that? A second?
Oh, yes, I do.
Any public comment on that? Okay, so there's a first and a second for us to do the neighborhood cleanup on October 3rd, 9 to 12, or when the dumpster gets filled. We're going to do one dumpster at a location to be determined by me in the future. So Jackie, if we can have a roll call vote, please.
Alex Miller,
Aye.
Ray Bennett,
Aye.
Ramona Leda Reed,
Aye.
Dennis Alexander,
Yes.
Shonda LaBeouf,
Yes.
Veronica Velasco.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, now we get to move on to the fun stuff. This is item E. and that is updates to basketball court and PG&E fence improvement. And we'll start with Mr. Little, if you're ready.
Okay, so the basketball court, I had a conversation with our city engineer, Nisha, earlier today, and I don't know if she's on this call or not. I don't recognize this other number, so maybe she's
No,
not.
this one here.
But I thought she might be able to provide some kind of an update for the Sonoma basketball court. So, you know, for a while there, we at least here thought that was kind of not going to be improved in the way that we had hoped because of the lack of funding and kind of this a nosedive of economic downturn that we were experiencing at, you know, kind of the beginning stages of this pandemic. So, but I have received some information that they're trying to move forward with this basketball court, and I was having, like I said, I was having a conversation with the city engineer, and I mean, I don't have the details that she would have to be able to share, except that it's good news. As far as the PG&E fence is concerned, I also had a conversation with our city engineer about the PG&E fence, and part of the reason we discussed the fence was just because the way this ended up on the agenda, it was kind of bunched together with this basketball court, and it was a good conversation because our engineering department works closely with PG&E, much more than I do in my role here at the city. In my role, most of it is disconnecting power from houses or connecting power, approving the connection of power, you know, when someone gets a meter upgrade and stuff. So I don't have a lot of interaction with big decision makers at PG&E, but our engineering department does. And one of the things that was discussed was there was a little bit of a concern about the fence being painted a lighter color, only because for the same reason that this commission wanted to paint it a lighter color, was for it to be compatible for potential murals and stuff in the future. Well, it would also make it a little more compatible for people that want to tag the fence. So the dark red, which it's similar to the color of the shirt that I'm wearing, actually lends itself well to discouraging the tagging. I went by and I looked at the fence today, and I can see that it is in need of some paint. There are some areas where it looks like it's been tagged and it's been painted over, but it's not a real popular canvas for somebody to go ahead and graffiti on, because most of the graffiti that we see is red paint. It's dark colors of paint, and it shows up really well, or pops on lighter surfaces. So that would be my concern in painting it lighter. I didn't have that concern until I had a good conversation with our city engineer, and there was also some discussion. She was going to reach out to some people that she deals with there at PG&E, but she expressed some concerns about it not being a very high priority for PG&E, and that it might be hard to put it into the priority category. And that was why I had mentioned earlier that if NIC, because this is something that's important and can make an impact in that area, perhaps this could be something where the strategy is changed to say, hey, our commission would like to go ahead and paint the fence, and we just are looking for permission to do so. So that's about, I mean, unless you have some questions that I might be able to answer, I think that's about the best update I can give at this point.
All right, thank you. And we can go to the basketball court real quickly. I believe at the city council meeting, the award was given to Monterey Peninsula Engineering. Is that correct?
That I don't know. That's why I wish we had our city engineer here.
Oh, it's okay. No worries. I just remember that from the city council meeting that they got awarded that contract. And I think that they're waiting for parts or something. They're waiting for the goals. And so we will want to plan some event when that basketball court is completed. I believe that it will be completed at the beginning of October, sometime around the beginning, the first or second week of October. So we would want to, since we're not meeting, then we obviously want to plan some kind of celebration to open it. But that's okay. We can postpone that. The PG&E fence, I remember the last email from that you gave us a hard copy of said at the very bottom, please give us a plan and we'd be happy to work with you. So I think what I'm hearing from you is a good plan would be to say to them, hey, we're going to paint it. We just want your permission. Am I hearing you that right? You just have to hit, yeah.
Sorry. That would be, in my mind, the path to a quicker successful outcome. It's not to say that we can't approach it in a different way and try to have a successful outcome that might just simply take longer. So it's up to you. I mean, I'm in it for the duration. So if it happens soon, great. If it takes time, I'll stick with it.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anybody else? Ray, please.
Why don't we get some bids on what it would take to repair the fence, because there is some repair that needs to be done plus painting? Or is it too early to do that?
Well, I don't know that we can actually get bids because, but we could try to get maybe a ballpark idea of what something would cost. When we put things out to bid, it's a little bit of a different process, and it would be hard for us to request bids to do work on something that wasn't on city property. But we could potentially reach out to some local contractors and say, or painters and say, hey, this is what we want to propose to PG&E, and we'd need an idea of what this would cost to repair and to paint.
I'd say let's do that. I'd like to know what it's going to cost anyway, if we are going to do it. So probably that's a good starting point, don't you think?
I think we could, yeah, sure. I can just try to get something that's not, something informal by just asking some local contractors if they could kind of provide an idea.
Okay. Great. Anybody else? Because where I'm at with this is requesting PG&E to replace the fence, but I also understand that it's going to be a long delay. So I'd like to hear from commissioners if they think painting it is going to make it look nice, or if painting it is going to make it look like we just did. Is it going to really improve it if we paint it? I guess is my question. Any commissioners' thought on that? Or Mr. Little, do you think it'll look nice if we just paint it?
Well, I'm coming from maybe a little bit different perspective here. In my mind, aesthetics are probably not the first priority in my role. It's more, will it withstand an 85-mile-per-hour wind, and can someone get out in case of an emergency type thing? But I think that it will make it look better for sure. But when I was driving around there, I came around a turn where I saw just a fence that was along someone's side yard, and it had markings and tags all over it. Somebody had spray painted all kinds of stuff on it. And so I thought, well, okay, I need to check that out and get that reported. But it was somebody who tagged just a wooden fence with your standard wooden fence with pickets. So on this, yeah, will it look nicer if it's painted? Sure. But it would also look nicer if there were some plants in front of it. It would look nicer if it was there's probably lots of things that could help to improve the looks of it. I think taking down the razor wire was the most dramatic change that occurred. I think now we're just trying to look for ways to make it. It reminds me of, when the house is clean, nobody notices, but when it's messy, people kind of notice the mess. And I think that's a little bit what happened here. Once the razor wire was down, we noticed that, hey, it could use some paint, which wasn't even probably much of a consideration initially. So I guess the answer to your question is, do I think it would look better if it was painted? Well, sure. But I think at the same time, we should, as a commission, you might want to just come up with a plan and really materialize what the end game is and where you want to take it. And instead of, and maybe I'm wrong there too. Maybe this is the way to do it, with just, hey, let's get to the next step, and then we can get to the next step. I don't know. I think that should be something that maybe the commission should discuss, and if there's something that I can do to help and facilitating it, I'm open to whatever your ideas are.
Thank you. We appreciate that. This might be a good opportunity to create one of those subcommittees to come up with a plan or determine the color. This could be an opportunity for 2 or 3 members to figure out if plants might be more productive. make it look nicer.
You're asking for people to form a subcommittee to talk about this?
Well, I'm asking, do you think that's a good move? If that's smart to do that at this stage?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Further discussion?
Seems that we may want to get the estimate first, or some kind of a ballpark figure. If this painting is going to cost $20,000, I don't think we'll be wasting our time with a subcommittee. But if it's something that, well, in other words, I think it depends on how much it's going to cost to just do a paint. So I'd like to have some kind of an idea what that is before we form commissions or committees. Or I guess we could do that too.
If I may, I think that's one of the things the subcommittee needs to do.
Right. Okay. Anybody
Alex,
else?
why don't we do a motion where you can appoint committee of two, depending on what some kind of a ballpark figure comes from. So you would have total control over who's on the committee, as you do anyway. But it would be depending on whether it's doable or not.
Sure. It's my preference that the person drives by it frequently or lives in the area. That's my preference. And I know Shonda lives around there. Was there any, should we set up a subcommittee now? I mean, I guess that would require a motion.
I make a motion to set up a subcommittee.
First,
A second.
okay. Second. Any public comment? So let's take a roll call vote on that, and then we'll decide who's going to be on it.
Alex Miller,
Aye.
Ray Bennett,
Aye.
Ramona Leda Reed,
Ramona,
Okay.
one more time, please.
You're on mute, darling.
Aye.
sorry,
Hi,
Dennis
Mark.
Alexander,
Aye.
Shonda LaBeouf,
Aye.
Veronica Velasco.
Aye.
Thank you. So that then, do we have any volunteers to serve? I will be one. I'll nominate myself, and then two more.
I can nominate myself.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
I can do it since it's right around the corner.
Is that Shonda?
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes up our subcommittee to figure out the cost of the PG&E fence and how we should approach PG&E in the future. Move on to item F. And this is a new project. This is a new project that I brought forward because I do think that it's worthy of discussion. It is the San Pablo Bridge Improvement Project. And this project is the bridge that connects two parks on San Pablo Avenue going up. And there's many things that we could talk about, or we could try to update the fence, but how I see it is a couple of things. One thing that I envision is either like a city of Seaside on one side, and then the three words include, inspire. I always forget the third one. Include, innovate, inspire could be listed on here. Or we could, I was thinking welcome to Seaside, but you're so far into the neighborhood. But my point is that if we could put some kind of wording on the bridge, or even in the inside, we do a mural, maybe involve some youth in the future. I just wanted to get the commission's feel for the project. If you guys like the project, if you don't like it, what we can do. This would probably be another subject that I would say we could have a subcommittee if we decide to move forward with it. But I'm open to your suggestions about that bridge, and I hope everybody knows which bridge we're talking about.
Is it right if
Mr.
I
Little, please. Yes, Mr. Little.
share here? So this was, I also had a conversation with the city engineer about this bridge, because the question was, what exactly is being proposed? And I had to say, well, I didn't know, because I hadn't, this hadn't come up as a discussion before with the commission. So I'm actually glad to hear that what you're proposing is to potentially paint it, because one of the issues with the bridge is if we do any kind of real renovation of it or improvement of it, it has to be accessible, which means that if there's steps, there has to be handrails. There's all kinds of things that get triggered. It's kind of like need to pave a street and then you have to put in curbs, gutters, and compliant sidewalks and curb ramps and everything. So I think this is good. If, from what I'm hearing, you're not talking about trying to completely renovate this. I don't know the condition of it. I've never been on the bridge before. I've just driven under it multiple times. So I'm not quite sure. I don't know too much about it, honestly.
Okay, thank you. I think, yes, I don't think that we have the money nor the willpower to embark in a construction type. My motivation is putting a positive message on it. I think a positive message, even one that says City of Seaside or Seaside, beautiful Seaside, something that we come up with. And so I'd like to hear from other commissioners about their opinion, or if we should just leave it alone.
As far as a message, I hope I'm not stepping over, given the time, stepping over a boundary here, but Seaside, after spending 20 plus years at Seaside High School, one thing that's always not surprised, but really I love was that it's a very, very diversified school where everyone seems, for the most part, to look beyond that diversity. So that's what Seaside is. I think of the whole Monterey area is that, but I think Seaside is above and beyond that, and the other cities in that respect.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis on that. I think, celebrating diversity or words to that effect, I think would be powerful. And I think that's something that we should improve on that bridge there.
What if we wrote Seaside in every language?
I think there's like 500 languages in the world.
There's
It's
a
all
lot
the same language. I think this would be a good time for us to appoint a committee to make specific requests for us all to discuss it now. It just doesn't. Some of us may not have even seen it or thought about it. So a committee would be appropriate, I think, at this point, in my opinion.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Well, I'll make that into a motion. I move that we form a committee of 3 to look at improvements of the San Pablo Bridge, whether it's painting or murals or words or whatever the committee comes up with. We can discuss it the next meeting.
A second.
Great. First and a second, public comment. Seeing none. Sorry, Jackie, one more time.
There's one more, there is a public comment.
Oh,
Sorry, did you read the comment from Lisa Sani into the record? Did I miss that?
I'm so sorry, Leslie. Could you read it now?
So Miss Lisa Sani, she said she texted you and for the comment. Did you read that into the record? It was regarding the San Pablo Bridge.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saving me on that one. Here we go. 6F comment. Disappointed I could not participate on YouTube and attend your meeting directly. To NIP Commission. Please do consider improving and spending some of your TOT funds to improve and brighten the San Pablo Bridge. It would be wonderful to create a sparkle and area of recognition for Seaside. I've spoken to many friends and neighbors in the area, and they would all value seeing an improvement to the bridge. Thank you for the consideration, Lisa Ann Swanee. Any other further comments? On the motion, Leslie, I have one question. Can we appoint a member not on the commission to a subcommittee?
Do they want to participate? Do you know that for sure?
I'm just wondering. I'm as a procedural question, is it
I
possible?
don't think there's an issue with doing that, no.
You don't think there's an issue? Okay,
I wouldn't necessarily be representing the city because you guys are appointed by the city council, but I don't see a reason why they couldn't participate.
and be a potential member of a subcommission?
I don't see a reason why they wouldn't.
So in this commission, could it be possible to have 2 NIC commissioners and 1 member of?
I think that would be great, actually.
Thank you, Leslie. Would the motion bear be amendable to that? Or does the commission okay with that?
I can amend my amendment, my motion to include a possible non-member of the Neighborhood Improvement Commission as a member of the subcommittee.
Can I, is it okay if I remark something, make a remark after after Ray's already submitted his motion?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Couldn't we, and maybe this is to Leslie, couldn't we still have 3 from the commission part of this ad hoc and have others from the community and still not violate the Brown Act because they're not part of this commission? Could we
Yeah.
still use three members?
That is correct. Just no more of 3 members of your commission.
And then we can go outside and get 2-3 more people, really.
More-
Actually, no.
the better.
No. Yeah, I think it's I just, something we have to discuss later is this process of getting community input. I mean, we are the commissioners, and I'm not opposed to getting community input, but we are the commissioners, and we should talk to community members about what we're doing and get that input. I don't know. I need to think more on that, on our processes, I guess, inviting the community. Do we get in trouble by telling the community about what we're doing, and do we get too many opinions on that? I just remember the hassle we had with the portal project, with so many people saying afterwards that they didn't have their say, but everyone had a different say on it. That's what I'm afraid of. But maybe just having 2 or 3 people, so it's fine. But when you start opening it up to the entire city of Seaside, you'll get multitude of different opinions. But I guess we could be the commission that decides that.
Right?
Yes, I can see that being an issue with the committee or with the community someone would say, well, why did you appoint her and not me? So I think that might be a problem now that I think about it, Ramona. Good going.
Yeah, I think we should ask those people where we should be getting input, just like councilmen and mayors get input from their constituents, or I'm pronouncing that word wrong. And so should we get information from our neighbors on what we're doing, and that's what we bring to the table. Alex would talk to a bunch of people, his neighborhood, and he would bring that to the table, as well as me and Ray and Shanda and so on. I thought that's what the commission was about, bringing it to the table, what the public wants from us. Hate to make that lengthier, but
that's absolutely what it's about. Dennis?
Leslie, you there? Hi, Leslie. Are you on mute?
No, I'm here.
Okay. The council is the only only people that can appoint a commission, right? What about a subcommittee? Is that only the council as well?
Councils can appoint subcommittees for their own things, but city commissions can also appoint subcommittees for their work programs. That's perfectly acceptable. I do understand Commissioner Reed's concern about public comment and dissatisfaction. I just have to tell you, participating in the public, you're never going to please everyone. And that's one of the reasons why you guys are appointed as the commission. You guys do get the final say. Everyone's going to have their opinions because they all have their own interests. But the council is relying on you to make your best opinions for what you think is the best for the community. So you don't have to have the city council appoint your ad hoc committees. You can do it for your very specific work programs. That's one of the reasons why it's really good to have an approved work plan by the city council, because you can always go back to, well, you approved our work plan. So of course we're doing this. We're just fulfilling what you told us to do. It's being able to fall back onto a policy. If that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
All right, well, there was a motion and a second, but I made the motion confusing because I asked for an amendment. So why don't we go back? Are you prepared to make another, can you make the motion again, or are you prepared to make another motion? Just because that motion got confusing.
Yeah, why don't I withdraw that motion?
Thank you.
If it's okay with the person who did the second, and then we'll start all over.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, I move that we create a subcommittee of 3 from the commission to look at improvements to the San Pablo Bridge and bring reports, a recommendation back to the commission at the next meeting.
I second that. Ramona?
Any public comment? Okay, sorry, Jackie, last time, promise.
Alex Miller,
Aye.
Ramona Oleda Reed,
Aye.
Ray Bennett, is that Ray?
Aye.
Dennis Alexander,
Aye.
Shanda LaBeouf,
Aye.
Veronica Velasco.
Aye.
Okay, so we have 3 people on the last commission or the subcommittee for the PG&E fence. So process of elimination. Ramona, are you interested? Veronica, are you interested in helping serve? I will be another advocate on this one. If you two are interested.
I'm interested. Ramona's interested.
Okay, that's one.
I will, since it's right up the street.
Okay,
I'm interested. Sorry, I couldn't unmute it. I'm interested. Veronica.
Okay. Why don't you, I'll exclude myself and you three go ahead. Ramona, Shonda, and Veronica. And I'll just kind of advise or help out.
It's fine.
Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to item 7, and that is reports from staff. And I think there's one phone number on the meeting who maybe it's Gloria or
Sorry, I had to call in on my phone and view the video on my other device. It's me, Jackie. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem, no problem. Gloria just brought something to my attention, and I thought maybe she was here, but it's okay. We'll move on to item 7, and that is update on commission email.
Oh, I thought I had one more minute until you had this.
That's okay. We can move on.
I'm really glad that you brought this up, Mr. Chair. We have established commission emails for each one of the boards and commissions, and I thought we had provided it to you all. How the emails are going to work is they are specifically named for the different commissions. And so there'll be one because of Brown Act issues, because of a series of subscription issues. And we can't provide every single commissioner an email address because your commission doesn't experience this, but we have some commissions that have significant turnover. And it creates a lot of record keeping issues if we have emails for all commissioners. But so what we've chosen to do is provide one email address for each commission, and then the chair can have access, or one specific appointed individual can have access because there's Brown Act issues, and then the staff liaison and then the staff clerk can have access to the email. So there can be up to 3 people who have access to this email. But it makes it a little bit easier for the public to be able to communicate their information and to participate with the commission. I know this actually came up, Mr. Bennett and Mr. Miller, you guys were the 2 that spurred this idea because of the Neighborhood Watch program, if I remember correctly. I mean, I think it goes before that, but this is the one where we really pushed it to go forward with. You wanted the Neighborhood Watch program to go forward. How do we get the public's participation? How do we get questions answered? How do we get this stuff? So we do have an email address set up for the Neighborhood Improvement Commission. Hold on one second. I'll tell you exactly what it is so you can start promoting it to anyone that you would like to share that with. Okay. It is neighborhood improvement at ci.seaside.ca.us. So if you want to share that with different people, Mr. Miller, I'll be providing you with the password and exactly the instructions of how to access that because you're the appointed chair. But that is how, if you want to share that with individuals as you interact with people, if you ask them their opinions on what needs to change, you can always say, hey, send an email to neighborhoodimprovement@ci.seaside.ca.us. We'll hear your comments. We'll start putting that as the email address on your agendas, your city agendas for your meetings. So that's where all public comments can go to. If you meet people on the street, you can pass them your business card and say, hey, email neighborhoodimprovement@ci.seaside.ca.us. We'll put it on your flyers for your community cleanup that you're going to be having on October 3rd. It's going to be great. We can start using that as a branding technique for your commission.
Great. Thank you very much.
Great, but I didn't have an agenda, so I don't know anything.
The agenda item is update on commission email recommendation, receive update on commission email, and we've received an update, and the update is that we've gotten a new email address, and I will be, if I communicate with you guys in the future, will probably be from this email address. But more importantly, what Leslie just said is really important. If you go out in the community and somebody's like, I want to fix this, then all you have to respond with is, hey, I know the guy. Send a message to neighborhoodimprovement.ci.seaside.city.us. Yes.
ABC.
.abc. So thank you very much, Leslie. We owe it all to you for that. That's awesome. We are very appreciative. And the neighborhood, that was really set up for the Neighborhood Watch, but we're going to be utilizing that email. So thank you for that. And then the next item is item B, and that's update on the TOT status for NIC, but we already heard the update unless there was anything further. Nothing further. We already heard the amount of money that we received from the Airbnb TOT tax. So we can move on to number 8, and that is commissioner reports. So we will start with Vice Chair. Commissioner reports.
No reports at this time. I'm glad to see everyone again and hope everyone stays safe.
Thank you, Ramona. And Veronica?
I have no reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis?
No report. Good to see you all again.
Thank you, Dennis. Shanda?
No reports. Good to see everybody.
Great. And I know there's a report from Ray. So Ray?
I'll get you for that. The only question is, I really have a question rather than a report. Is it you and me and Ramona? Are we working on the report on the, what's it called? Our work plan, are 3 of us working on that?
Yes.
Is that correct?
On what?
Okay, then
What?
that's all.
Ramona, you, myself, and Ray are working on the annual plan that we have to get to Leslie this week. So we'll
Okay.
be in contact this week.
Okay. Thank
Any
you.
other reports? I just want to say thank everybody for coming on the Zoom, and it was great to see everybody. And we are going to make some improvements to the city of Seaside, and I'm really thankful for Dave Pacheco, who really advocated for us to get that TOT tax, a share of that. So I really want to give him a shout out. So if you see him, please thank him. This is a good amount of money that we're going to be able to work with, and we're going to be able to do some really cool projects. I also want to give Leslie a big thank you, Leslie, for spending your Tuesday night with us. I know it's not always the best. I know you have kids, but thank you so much. You make it, you and David make the meetings go so much smoother, because then we're getting actual information back, and we really, really, really appreciate you. So thank you. And Ray, did you have something else to add? Or are you just pointing your finger at us?
On Dave Pacheco, just so the commission knows that he put some of his own money into getting the lighting for the portal project finished. He donated money himself.
Yeah.
Personal money to get that done. I just want to make sure the commission knows.
Yes, and the blue seahorse and the way it looks now and it lit up really looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the result, and if people don't like it, I don't know what else to say or do, but I really do like it, and I think it resembles the new Seaside, and a creative, innovative place with a cool sign. I've seen a lot of politicians using the sign in their advertising, and it really exemplifies what a great community we really are here in Seaside. So with no further comment, I will move on to item 9, which is adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm not going to make Jackie read the names again, so I already promised her I wouldn't. Everybody have a good night. Jackie, thank you so much. David, Leslie, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys on December 1st. December 1st at 6 o'clock.
All right. Bye.
Good night.